Thank you, Toby.
Thank you.
Toby's awesome. All right, so what's going on in y'all's world today? Anything fun? Anybody having a good time yet?
We just learned we may have to get a new job.
Yes, but it's for the holidays. Don't worry about it. You got plenty of time. You got like 3 weeks, so it'll all be good. What's the business look like? What are you guys seeing out there? By the way, Toby, here's one for you when you come back in. And anybody carving pumpkins? Because I got tons of little pop-by giveaways. Pumpkin carving, there you go. See, you need a set. You need a set. Anybody else need a set? I know Mike wants one. Mike, come on. He's gonna fill it with vodka or bourbon, isn't he? I got plenty more.
Thank you, sir.
Lots and lots of them.
Where
So
you put the wine bag
yeah,
down into it and then the spouts out of the mouth.
no, that's funny.
Yeah.
So that makes perfect sense. What's up, Carrie? Come on in. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.
Carrie!
All right. Can you hand that back to Miss Carrie for me, please? Thank you. Oh, you have one. Oh, that's right. I gave you one out there. I forgot. My bad, because I didn't know you were coming. I didn't know you were going to make it. All right.
Boy, if looks could
Ooh,
kill,
this one.
man.
Is the life
You
insurance
would not
policy, is it up and good for you, baby?
Girl, what did he do now? I messed it up.
He just
This is the
called
life
me, he
insurance.
just said that that's the real Carrie.
Original. Oh, yes.
I just want to make sure you're covered.
Ron's dead. Ron's not going to survive
Make sure
today.
you and the boy are covered.
He's done. That's awesome. All right. So before we even get started, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give you a heads up. I'm actually very positive with what's coming. So this is not a beat everybody down session by any means. We never want to do that anyway. But it's better than you think. But the other side of that is, what do they always say? It's kind of coldest, darkest before the dawn, and that's kind of the space we're going into right this moment. So there is definitely some interesting things happening out there. Would you like something to carve pumpkins with this year?
Sure.
Did that help you? There you go. I figured you did. Oh, there you go. You need two? Because I had plenty.
Yes, because I have two.
That's really
Okay. Now, so if they get into a fight with the knife, you did not get this from me. So make sure you keep that off to the side. So, but all right, nice little pop buys courtesy of Jill in our office.
Carrie, what a knife did you?
I did. I did. But to be fair, Carrie's response was, "This is not as big as a knife I carry in my purse." So I was like, "Okay."
My switchblade that I'm walking around.
My switchblade. I have different varieties. There you go. There's that one. So different things. All
This
right.
is like a little shank and this is a big shank.
A little. Would you? Jesus Christ. Okay. Would you like another big shank? Wow. Holy shit.
degrees of shaking.
Okay. Hey,
This is for
does,
the
way
kids
through
and that's for
just-
the adults.
does anybody have her husband's number? Like maybe we could do a welfare check next week.
In my phone, yeah.
That would be great because we may need it.
He's been gone for a month.
I know he has. He's been gone for a month.
Nobody knows where he is.
Wow. He sounds kind of like our real estate business right now. Gone for a month.
Gone for a month, yeah.
Nobody's seen it. It's not around. So it is interesting. So here's what we're seeing, and you guys tell me if this matches up. So number one, October, not a lot of fun. We didn't have a whole lot of apps coming out of the end of summer. So October's numbers were down, just like last year. November, we got a few more phone calls going this last month. They were not as many as we normally get by far. We were way down on the number, but the quality was a lot higher. So they were coming with almost like contracts in hand. In fact, I got one this morning. They have a contract already. I'm like, how do you get a contract without a pre-approval? They've never talked to a lender.
Oh, wow.
I don't understand. It's Oklahoma, so I mean, they just do weird stuff up there anyway. So and then
We call that opportunity.
Call it opportunity. There you go. That's right. It is opportunity. That's for sure. So now, we got a few contracts in for November, and we're thinking, oh, November's going to be a pretty good month, and all of them are falling out. This is like the year of cancellations. I'm like, I'm done. Yeah, a lot of it's over inspection. So here's the 3 factors coming into play. Inspections is one. Seller's still saying I'm not doing anything. The other thing is seller's not only saying I'm not doing anything, but they covered up stuff. And that makes the buyers real nervous right now. Real nervous. Second thing is appraisals coming in short. Any of y'all seen that lately?
Yes.
All right. $1,350,000. Appraisal just came back at $1,200,000. Pretty tight appraisal. They actually just missed it from what it looks like. Seller and buyer both. We will not budge $1. Mr. Seller, you come off 150 or we will not buy your home. Mr. Buyer, you pay the full price or you can't have it. We'll just hold it till next year. That may not be a good move, but it's okay.
Is there any feedback on any of that, that it is somebody who's only been in the house for a little bit, they being the seller versus been there for a while?
That's a really good question, Mike. They actually built this home brand new in 2020. It was already under construction when COVID hit. So they should have really good appreciation through it.
Should have had at least on that one.
Yeah, and that was kind of my thought too. Now I don't know what they probably didn't spend more than 700 grand to build this house. They're trying to get $1,350,000 for it. So I think they're okay. They just think it's really worth that kind of money. And then my third one, my favorite one that I am literally like not happy about right now, I want to drive my car into a concrete pylon about, is the government shutdown. We're now on our third deal. Just in the last week, we've lost due to that.
I think that's going to change after the election.
I think it will too. I think you'll see that kind of flip around. So the interesting thing is and I can't fault any of my buyers. You know, two of them were just very conscientious and they said, look, we don't want to close on this thing if we don't have a job, and we don't want to hold the seller up and keep their property off the market forever. So we're going to go ahead and just tell everybody, look, we got a problem. You know about it. It's on TV. We can't close. So the third guy just got nervous. He could go forward with it and he would have been fine, but he was just super, super nervous. So those three deals bounced out $1.6 million, $1.8 million in loan amounts. So more like $2.5 million in sales prices, gone. So that's what we've been seeing on our side. So we went from, October's okay. It's not great. It's just not terrible. November's going to be better. And now we're like, November probably won't be as good as October. So that leaves December for the good month, we hope. Keep our fingers crossed. So does that match up with what you guys are seeing out there?
Yes.
Kind of sound about the same?
Yeah.
And we're going to call this the year of the cancellation. We've never had more contracts cancel than we have in this year. It's insane. It's a huge percentage right now. It's probably 25% of the contracts we get in cancel.
That's been going all year here with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard the stories all year, and a couple of my loan officers have had that for the most part of the year. I haven't gotten bit by that bug until the last couple of months. I've had onesies, twosies here and there, but that's about it. So, all right, are your listings showing? Or are they sitting? No?
Sitting.
Okay.
We're having to get really aggressive on pricing.
Are you? Okay.
Way under what it's worth.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a race to the bottom right now. Hello, Lamb. Come on in. How are you?
This is for you.
For me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that was very kind of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So yeah, we're hearing that story too. We're hearing a lot of listings sitting on the ground right now. A lot of our buyers are just kind of chilling. They're not really sure what's going on. So I'm hoping Mike's right. The election is what day, Mike? The 4th? Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Hopefully that will change a little bit of what we're seeing out there. But, all right, now all of that's the negative news. Here's the good news. We finally have some things moving in our favor, and it's going to really set us up for the nice spring. So I think, in all honesty, we think we climb out of this hole starting in the spring, and we get back to a more realistic world. You know what? She would need a shank also because she has kids.
You want to shake?
A shiv. Yeah. Gary, you missed it. Gary completely.
I've got
Well.
paper towels if you want to wrap the hands.
Wow. And
gloves.
rubber gloves too, for that matter. She's got
the paper towels.
latex gloves. It's fine.
Give those out for prison. They
Where
have
you
paper
be?
towels.
Oh, okay, paper towels. There you go. Well, according to CSI, they can trace that
Yeah.
latex back. So, all right. So let's jump in. Let's talk about a few things here really quick. So we're going to be all positive. How about that? We actually are really, really positive. So here's a little bit kind of not positive but not negative either. Basically, inflation still creeping up again. We know we kind of expected this. We just got the inflation number out for September last week, and it went up to 3.0. Not as big a deal as it has been because the Federal Reserve has two things they watch. One is inflation, one is employment. Employment's not great right this second, so we'll talk about that here in a minute. So this one, even though it's high because they want it to be at 2, and we've been on a losing streak since April, right now they're thinking this one they can live with because they want to get employment under control. That's actually good for you and I. When they worry about this one, we get hurt because that's where rates go up and they slow the market down and all those things. What's up, Christine? It's good to see you. How are you? No, you didn't sneak in. We're gonna make a mess of you. So here you go. Thanks for coming.
I apologize for being late.
No, you're good. You're good. So here's the good news, and this is kind of a weird good news. But the good news is labor's getting soft. Employment's getting soft. So the Fed watches labor. They watch inflation. When they see inflation, they hurt us. When they see labor getting in trouble, they help us. And that's what's about to happen. In fact, it's already started. It's going to happen again tomorrow. It's probably going to happen again at the end of the year when they do their final Fed meeting. So you can see once they started making revisions, these are the official government jobs that have been created. And we call it the official one because this is the one the government puts out, which, by the way, does anybody know how they do this? Anybody know how they come up with these numbers?
They send out to all the different corporations and call them and ask them questions.
Yeah, phone calls. Phone calls. Let's have a conversation. This was created decades ago. This is the methodology was decades old. And so they just make phone calls. So by the way, if they're catching you at home, who's at home at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday?
Unemployed or realtor.
Or realtors. Exactly right.
Like Ron.
Or
he watches
realtors.
Jeopardy during that time.
That's, boy, I mean, it is Jeopardy. So, all right, so this is the unofficial number, and the official number, and you can see all of a sudden it's looking really bad. Now, this is after revisions. June did not start off as a negative month. But we had officially, once they revised it, our first negative month in forever on the government report. And even the rest of these months haven't been very good. We don't have September data because they're closed, because that's a good idea. And so we don't actually get that one. But we do get the unofficial one, which is actually way more accurate. This is called the ADP report. The ADP report is actually a technical analysis of payrolls. Way different, right? ADP is the largest provider of payroll services, so they do their thing every single month and they come out with their number. And for the most part, everybody always goes, well, I mean, they correlate a little bit, but they're not always perfect. Well, my personal theory is they're not perfect because the government kind of rigs theirs. You might think that's different, but that's my opinion. ADP, however, look at this, last 4 months, 3 of the last 4 months down. So they're seeing job losses, not job creation. And this is starting to line up with the government report that's getting revised. So that's the thing, they always discount, the government discounts ADP, but then 3 months to a year later when they do their revisions, the government report somehow starts to look like the ADP report. But that's in the past, so we don't talk about it. Well now, ADP is all we have to watch because we don't have a government report and it's going down. So the Fed is seeing this and they've already said, hey, the labor market is weak and we need to drop rates. So we get another quarter tomorrow. Then they're going to tell us what they think is going to happen in December, and I think you're going to get another quarter in December. And the really good news is the bond market likes this. That's what we care about because the Fed doesn't really impact our rates a whole lot. You can see what's been going on. They influence our rates for sure, right? But remember, as we go green and up, that's good. That means rates are actually going down. And I can tell you we're back just in the last week to locking some people at 5.99. So hello fives, which is awesome. Now, I'll tell you, even though we're seeing that, that's the outlier. Most people are still seeing 6 and 8, 6 and 3/8. But we are seeing some 5.99s right now that we can lock. And this is before the Fed announcement today, which is already priced in, with about a point. With about a point, yeah, not north of a point. So the one I locked yesterday was 7/8%. Yes, ma'am.
Does the government shutdown affect us by anything? And if it does, is it accounted for in this future projection?
Does it affect, what do you mean by affect us in any way?
Well, because sometimes the government shutdown starts to affect whether you can get stuff done with Fannie or Freddie, like I couldn't get a certificate.
Yes.
Some things like that.
Good question.
It's almost were an issue.
Yeah, they almost were an issue. So here's the thing about the government shutdown.
Jason, could
Yes,
you
ma'am.
just repeat the question for?
Yeah,
should we
absolutely.
talk?
So the question was, is the government shutdown affecting mortgages and loans and in the business that we do? And the answer is it is a little bit, and it can, but it's not as bad as you might think. So conventional loans, FHA loans, and VA loans, I don't need Uncle Sam for anything most of the time. The only little caveat is if I have to have a tax transcript for a self-employed borrower for some weird reason, now I can't go get that. That could hold us up. On the VA side, I have to have a certificate of eligibility, which is all online for the most part, but occasionally we see them not, and I can't get the ones that are not like I used to. So that could hold us up. But otherwise, I don't need to go to them to close the loan. USDA is the outlier, and that one is held up because USDA is the only loan program that makes us do all the work and then send it to them to bless our work, and they can't do that right now. So USDAs are on hold. They also don't have funding technically, but it doesn't matter, on hold anyway. And then the last piece of the puzzle is, officially, if you're a government employee, in all the prior shutdowns, Fannie and Freddie have given us guidance that says you can't close the loan until they go back to work or start getting a paycheck, because some of them are working, right? They're just working for free. And so that guidance has always been you can't do that. This go around with the new administration, Fannie and Freddie are like, you know what, we're going to reopen this thing anyway, don't worry about it. You can close it for now, but they're starting to tighten that guidance down a little bit because it's gone on longer than they thought. And so on that world, we are starting to see some effects. Now, Jumbo, which is Jumbo Servicers above 819,000 in Texas, they have all said, don't close the loan until they get a paycheck. So it's kind of impacting us, but it's not shutting us down, for sure. Most of our transactions are going just fine.
So
Yes, sir.
with rates forecast to come down, what advice would you give to a buyer that's getting some money from a seller that they could either use for a buy down or for whatever they want? Would you do the full buy downs? Would you do 2-1s? What would you think?
It depends on their situation. Like I talked to a guy yesterday who's basically had the same question and he has this scenario facing him. So they're trying to decide between a 2-1 buy down, a permanent buy down, or just taking the money for closing costs. I think he's going to wind up taking the money for closing costs because he's really disciplined and he'd like to just have it himself, extra money on hand, and use it the way he sees fit. I've got a buyer right now that the only way they will buy is if they get a 2-1 buy down. So to me, I think it depends on the individual circumstances. So we're not, I will tell you one of the three that we're not really recommending is the permanent buy down. I'm still not getting a lot of bang for your buck on that. So it doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense for you to pay that kind of money for that. Yes, sir.
No, I was just stretching.
Oh, so, no, I was gonna say, Toby's just stretching. He's like, he's back there good. He's golden. All right, so on the rate front, this is really good news. Now, here's the thing. We got out, last time we were here, we were talking about the last Fed meeting, and we got out over our skis, and rates dropped a little bit lower than they should have. And then as soon as the Fed meeting, they went back up. We may see that again this week. We have not had that kind of drop. In fact, this is that drop leading into that Fed meeting, and you can see it was a really big one. Lots of green in that space. And then we just kind of trickled around, and we've been hanging out in this little zone. So this go around, I don't think you're going to see a massive decline or a massive change in interest rates after the meeting tomorrow, but you could, a little bit. The key is going to be whatever they say they're going to do in December. If they lean towards we're definitely doing something again in December, I think rates take another leg down, which would be kind of cool. I can make a case for saying rates could be in the 5.75 range in January. That'd be really good for our business, right? Very, very good. Howdy. And so I think realistically, nobody's expecting rates to bounce up from these levels. And so we're probably going to be upper fives. Now, remember the last 3 Januaries, every time we come back from holiday, we have a little rate drop, probably about the middle of the month. And those are typically the lowest rates of the entire year when we do that. So could you see a 5.5 in January that then turns into an upper fives later? Yes. My comment to you guys is you better be ready for that, because the other thing that we've seen the last 3 Januaries is a big little boost in buyers showing up. They sat around all winter or all holiday season. Now rates are a little cheaper, and boom, they kind of come into the market. If you've got higher inventory, lower rates, and the prospects for things getting better going forward, I think you'll see a boost in January. So I think we need to be ready for that. All right, now mortgage apps, still volatile, and these blues are all positive numbers, and these are obviously the negatives. The thing I want to point out to you though is these big ones, these moves up, these are all refinance moves up. And you'd say, well, why did anybody refinance into a 6% interest rate? Well, they're doing it for cash out purposes. So it's not just to refinance to a lower rate. A lot of times they're pulling money out. Yes, sir.
So what's going on with student loans? That is back in play, and is that impacting?
It is definitely. In fact, I think, if I remember right, we had it in last month's presentation specifically. What we're starting to see is data now on student loans indicates that the majority of buyers have student loans, and the majority of even a bigger majority of the lower credit score buyers have student loan debt, and that is impacting their ability to either make payments or their affordability. We're seeing some delinquencies and some credit card usage in that space. So we're starting to see a lot of I'd say basically the answer to your question is we're getting a lot of data now that supports the student loans are an actual problem. In fact, I'm going to show you something here in a minute to show you how big the problem they actually are. You're going to be shocked. But yeah, I think that's coming around for certain. And the new administration is not going to do anything about that.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah. Brian, what you got?
Okay, so you said the expecting boost in January, and you mentioned high inventory, low interest rates, and what was the third one?
Well, I think in general people feel like that we're getting more positive in the in the real estate space. Sorry, I got a little sidetracked there. In the real estate space. And so there's a little bit better feeling about real estate all the way around. Like prices have come down. The inventory is a little bit higher, so you have more to choose from. And affordability is kind of coming in line. And so overall, we have a better feeling about real estate right now. That's kind of what we're seeing. So the thing I want to point out to you, though, is these last 4 weeks where we've had big decreases, this is a big refinance increase. This is a big refinance decrease. But these are purchases. So we're seeing purchases really slow down. And to be fair, it's kind of seasonal, but we really shouldn't have been at this level, and we probably should be at least creeping along at a little higher rate than we are right now. So if you feel like the buyers are slow, you're probably right. That's what we're seeing on our side too. We're just not seeing as many of those apps come through. Now, this just strips out purchase apps only, so we're not looking at any of the refinances, and you can see that little leg down from the summer months. You know, beginning of summer kind of peaked, and then we went down every since then. When we get the latest data out here in the next couple of days, it's going to show that mortgage apps continue to decline at this point. We're thinking there'll be another leg down probably into this range right here, which will put us down right about the lows of where we've been the last several years. So that's not the worst thing on the planet, because we know there's still people who want to buy homes. They're just not applying and working on it. So there's still major pent-up demand out there. So that's why we think when the news gets a hold of lower rates, which, by the way, did y'all see last week the news finally started to report lower rates? The news reports the stupid Freddie Mac survey, which is always wrong. And it's always wrong one way. Like when rates are going down, it's too high. And when rates are going up, it's too low. And you're like, just get it right. But the cool thing is, while that was hurting us before because rates were climbing, now it's helping us. And so they're seeing rates come. I think the Freddie Mac survey said rates were down to like 6.19 last week, when in reality they were already under 6 1/8 in the real world, and we were locking at 5.99s. So people are starting to get that, and I'm now getting phone calls from people saying, hey, I heard that rates are down. What can we do? So there's at least some positive momentum coming. We just got to get there. All right, let's do some interesting real estate news. So first thing is, I came across this not too long ago, and I thought, man, we got to keep this. So the family income needs to be roughly $100,000 annually to afford the typical home that's listed out there. Y'all remember when 100 grand, 6 figures a year was a good number?
A lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. Like you were rolling if you made 6 grand a year, or 6 figures a year. So what's really interesting is that $100,000 number is almost $18,000 above the median household income. And that's just to afford the average typical home of $368,000. That's not a nice house, in Texas at least, right? So I thought that was super interesting. Now keep in mind, this is household income, but this is why we're seeing more dual income households than ever before. I've got a group, I'd say a pair of kids. They're, boyfriend, girlfriend, but they've got kids and they're trying to buy their first home, and we have 3 co-signers, and we're still not qualified on the debt to income ratio. 3 co-signers. I'm like, all right, we may run out of space on this application at some point. So we're working on it. By the way, that also assumes that they have 20% for down payment, which they don't have.
The average person does not have 73K.
Unless they get it from mommy and daddy and grandparents, which we're seeing a lot of right this moment. So,
Still seeing a bunch of that as you work?
oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, I've got one right now, man, I can't say it because we're being recorded, what we call this guy, but I don't want that out on the internet. But it's not a bad thing. It's just something I would never want him to hear. But I've got a client right now who is having to get gifts from all kinds of family members to get this deal done. And he's going around asking everybody for money. And it started with because both sets of parents and grandparents do annual gifts for their estate planning purposes. So they're all handing this guy, he and his wife, $68,000 a pop every year for estate planning purposes.
And they're still.
Times 3.
They still,
Oh yeah, we're still working on it. Yeah, exactly. So,
what are they trying to buy?
Are they accepting children?
yeah, exactly. Are they?
Looking to upgrade family?
Trust me, Mike, you would be a massive upgrade for this family. Trust me. So, but you didn't hear that from me. It's interesting. So I'm like, good Lord. I go to dinner with my dad and he pulls I can't get to my wallet way back here in my pocket routine, right? I'm like, that's not funny, Dad. It's only funny when the comedians do it. And he thinks it's hilarious. My father-in-law doesn't even bring his wallet anymore. If I'm coming, he leaves it at home. That's no joke. So it's just, very different world than the one I live in. I can tell you that.
So how much house are they trying to buy if they didn't have the 68
well,
to put down?
they wanted 1.7. But
Okay.
then they got bounced down to
That's
1.3, and then that one didn't work out. So now they're at 900.
Okay.
They can't even get into South Lake for that, y'all.
No, that's entry. That's entry level South Lake's 1.2 million.
Wow.
I feel bad.
It's true. I feel for some of them.
Hey, there's a place. One of the original.
That's a
It's
good
good,
place.
180K for just walking and breathing
Yeah.
every year.
Every year. So one of the original master plan communities in South Lake is called Myers Meadow, and it is still the lowest price community in South Lake, and they call it Myers Ghetto because it's only is what now, Mike?
Two-story Perry homes in there.
It is two-story
And the
Perry
mass
home.
is usually up, and that's not.
Correct. And the entry level price point there is like $1 million to $1.2 million now, and they call it Myers Ghetto because of that. Myers Ghetto. Like, oh, you had to buy in Myers Ghetto? That's not really South Lake. That's not South Lake. That's not South Lake.
$20 the other day and then sent me her Venmo.
Your mom gave you $20?
I didn't have cash, so she gave me $20, and then immediately after that, she was like, "Here's my Venmo number, so that you can send it back to me." I was like,
Okay. Okay. Jeez.
I want it back.
Okay. All right. So let's. Carrie, these are Carrie problems. These are Carrie problems. We don't. Yeah. How many more shanks do you need? I got a whole bag full. Okay. So delistings, by the way up. Homes coming off the market, right? How many of you guys used to? Mike, do you?
That's not unusual this time of year.
It's not.
no.
It's not. How many of you guys used to or still do make money off of expireds?
Used to.
Used to. These guys do, right? I mean, there's a lot of money in expireds, and there's a lot of expireds right now. So something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. Now, here's the thing. The biggest thing is they're up 35% from the same time frame last year. So we're just seeing more of that, right?
But how many of those are getting, the old 30 days off and getting relisted?
Oh, I bet a lot of them will probably come back. Yeah. I can tell you a lot of our contingent contracts, I'm going to sell their homes. They're getting ready to pull off, and they're going to stay off till January, though. They're not coming back on this year. So that's the unfortunate part. Okay, it's not fun being a realtor in Phoenix, by the way, because they are the delisting capital of the country right now, them and Miami. So these are the two hot spots. But you see that Dallas really popped up on the list. So we're starting to see it.
Progressively go LA, Phoenix.
Oh, yeah.
towards us historically.
Everything bad starts over here. It hops over to this side, and then it lands in Texas. That's the way the whole world works, unfortunately. Everything bad starts that way.
So what I see
And
is-
some East Coast, too.
What I see is that if you have somebody that wants to buy vacation rentals or rental property, they should buy it in Phoenix.
Yes. Yes. Just not Jamaica. I know.
In about 2 weeks, you can buy in Jamaica.
Exactly. It'll be right. Wow. Askins on fire, people. That's all I'm saying. All right.
Spots in New England too that haven't been on that map lately, right? That's been a hot spot.
They are the hot spots, yeah, up here in Providence.
Not looking like Maine right now.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that, to be honest with you. Now, to be fair, that's only the 3% bucket right there, but still, it's still, you're starting to see a little bit of that. That happens this time of year up there, though, because it's starting to snow.
What's that other purple dot at the bottom? Is that Florida?
Miami.
Yeah, this is the
Miami.
United States.
I know, but I didn't know if that was the Keys or Miami.
No, that was Miami. I talked to, say what? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Condos in Florida are trash right now. By the way, there's some really good deals on condos in Florida if you want to jump in on one. It's not the worst thing on the planet. So,
Also, they're having to retrofit a lot of those.
correct.
Right.
That's what's going on. So they're doing their, I think they call them 40 years or something like that. They have to have a 40-year inspection if they're older to make sure they're not going to fall down. So until you do your 40-year, the building value plummets. And then once you do it and it's clean, or you do the retrofitting, then it goes back up. So there's some deals to be had, but you do run the risk of the 40 years shows something bad, to be fair. It's like your building could fall down tomorrow. But other than that, your investment's great.
You mean the building has to be 40 years old?
If
Or what are you
it's
talking about?
hit,
From the-
Older than 40.
Yeah, if
If
it's
the building
hit-
is older than 40 years old.
it has to go through
Yeah,
this
state
inspection.
requiring them to do all this work. Where's this?
Florida. Y'all remember like 3 years ago, somewhere in the middle of COVID, they had that building that just collapsed in Florida, right? Okay, that's what's triggered all of this. So all of those condos are great. Most of them are older than 40 years. Of course, the newest ones are really nice. So what they've done is they've now put in this inspection that's required to make sure that the next building's not going to fall down. So until you do it, the value of your building is not good.
Are they requiring the HOAs and them to do it, or the
Oh, yeah.
individual homeowners?
No, the building, the whole HOA for the building has to be
Okay, so
done.
they
Yeah.
all have to pitch into it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's all done, paid for by the homeowners.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a
I'm
mess.
just wondering if they're hitting like the big businesses that own them, or if they're hitting the individual people.
Hurricane.
No, they're hitting the HOAs, which is charging the people.
Right,
So, but I even had a 10 unit or 12 unit building that we were trying to do a deal in that was 50 years old, and they hadn't done that inspection, and so the HOA was holding everything up because they didn't know how much they were going to have to special assess everybody. We're still waiting on that deal. It hasn't happened yet. So, and that little condo probably should have sold for 250, 275. It was selling for like 135 or something. So there are some opportunities. I'm not sure I'm willing to go pull the trigger on it, but there are some opportunities. So Phoenix, by the way, is always an interesting cesspool. Did anybody ever pay attention to Phoenix? Because it's kind of like, it follows almost the California methodology where it goes straight up and then straight down. And my favorite story, only because we were in the mix of having bought this mortgage at the time, but back during the Great Recession, they collapsed, their market collapsed really harder than the rest of the country. And so there was a guy who had bought a very nice, expensive mansion, right? And he's way upside down and doesn't want to pay for it anymore, finally had enough of it. So he went to practice diving in the pool while the mansion burned down by accident. Come to find out he might have lit it on the way out to the pool. He might have lit it on fire. And scuba.
You're getting rid of it.
I mean, you are getting rid of it, but I mean, how stupid do you have to be? I'm practicing my scuba diving. And he's like, well, and then I had to stay in the pool because, I mean, I didn't want to get out and get burnt. So, anyway, there's that. So that's what Phoenix looks like. All right, so investors, here's the thing. We've all been complaining about investors forever. And yes, they are actually taking over the market a little bit from a percentage, but not like you think it is. So here's the thing. First of all, normally between 20 and 23, investors were about 18.5% of all purchases. Now they're over 26%. So they're still more than 1 in 4. So investors are a really, really big deal. Investors do make up 20% of the country's single-family homes. They own 20% of them. So that is a big deal. But here's the part that might surprise you. So 85% of investor homes are held by people with 1 to 5 properties. And another 5% are held by people with 10 homes or less. So only 2.2% of investor-owned properties are institutional with 1,000 or more. So we've been complaining about institutions buying up all these homes. The reality is 90% of them belong to people who have 10 homes or less. That's the part I thought was kind of surprising.
Is that nationwide?
But wouldn't that be different between institutions buying them and sticking them in a RIT versus just putting it, oh, you gotta be kidding. I don't need this. So anyway, but wouldn't it be, again, different versus RIT versus they're buying and turning around and flipping them?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I'll have to look into it a little bit.
Houses in the market and it's
Yeah.
owned by
A large corporation.
whatever, type of situation.
I'll have to look at that and see if
Versus
flips.
the RIT, type
If
of thing.
this is specifically talking about current ownership of these investment properties, so I'll have to look and see if I can figure out if it's purchase versus flip. It's kind of changing things around a little bit. So, but the bottom line is you still have 20% of the country's housing stock is owned by other people. What's up, Renee? It's good to see you. How are you? Okay, so we have a market update for you and a shiv. So hang on, get you the shiv. Here you go. Very important. Carrie, there's a shank. so enjoy that. All right. And don't challenge Carrie because she got lots of them. So she's going double fisted on this. Okay, so here's the other thing. Real estate investors in the institutional space are changing their methodology completely. In fact, half of them are moving over to new asset classes or getting into different regions. And more than half say they're going multifamily or even mixed use. So what we're starting to see is the institutions are changing their tune. The ones that did come in and buy up all these homes, to be fair, during COVID, they're kind of like, single family's not where it's at. And they're moving on now, which is good for you and I. The question is, how long will it take for them to start putting their single families on the market? That's what we need, because that's really going to help us out quite a bit. But when you've got half of them moving over to multifamily or even mixed use, that's a good sign for you and I on the residential side. So I'm excited about that part too.
How much of that is also bringing our property values down in some of these different areas if they're building?
I think it could be bringing some property values down. If they're dumping them or if they're building new ones, I think you could see that a little bit. To me, I think property values are so high right now, if it just keeps them level, I'd be happy.
Well,
So that's what I'm
future
hoping
property
for.
value.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
because it
it's a
normally
good question.
takes about 10 years for it to start affecting the property value around them.
Yeah,
in
big.
some of them.
That's a very good question. It could be interesting.
Are you seeing appraisers depreciating at all? I mean, versus with some of these comps?
Yes, we're seeing comps drop fast. In fact, I was in a real estate office the other day doing a similar presentation to this, but on appraisals, and a couple of the realtors were talking about they're not even pulling comps. They're outside of 60 days right now. Because if you go back 90, 120.
The appraiser's gonna write it down.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and we're definitely seeing that. Absolutely. In fact, I told you guys I had that 1.35 that just came in short yesterday. I had another agent tell me they had one that came in 200 grand short on like $1.8 million. So we're starting to see that upper end come in short, which is interesting. That's been on fire up to this point. So yeah, that's right. We knew it was coming. It would get there eventually. Now, here's some good news, by the way. Dallas, Fort Worth, technically it's cheaper to buy than rent by a little bit. But the reason I like this is because this green dot right here is the cost of buying, and then the blue dot is renting. We were way out here on this a couple months back. Way more expensive to buy than it was to rent. And now look where we're going to. Now, part of this is because we're seeing the taxes have been helped a little bit. I'm not going to tell you that we've done a good job. We've not. Taxes are still ridiculously too high. But we're seeing that. We're seeing rates come down. We're seeing prices stall out. So we're seeing a number of factors, and we just for the first month ever, or the first month since I've been watching it, clicked back over into the cheaper to buy it than rent it. And when you look at it, Houston's kind of in the exact same boat. San Antonio is actually even better. So we've got certain parts of Texas coming around again a little bit. Now, if you're up here in these areas, it's more expensive to rent. And so you could get hurt in California for sure. I'd stay out of that place if I was you. But Texas is looking a little bit better. Austin even comes in here a little bit. Austin kind of cranking in a little. So I'm okay with that. Well, it's still a little high, but it's coming backwards. So we're moving in the right direction. All right, don't let the headlines scare you. Everything, in fact, I just read another one today. Foreclosures up 41%, foreclosures up 100%. Ignore it. It's all noise. We're still below the historic average for foreclosures right now. We should be about 4% of what we call distressed property sales or distressed loans. We're at like 2.5, maybe 3 in certain areas. So we're still under what we should be, but we're up from 1%. So the market or the news can say they went up 100%. That's not really the case. So don't worry about this one. We're not expecting to see this be a big factor. Now, I will say this though, the one little caveat, because this kind of applies to short sales too, is any of y'all had clients that have come to you recently that bought in the last 2 to 3 years and now they want to resell?
Yep.
It's kind of ugly, right? Yeah, that's not cool. Yeah, the good news is we haven't had that many sales in the last 3 years, so I don't think that's a huge part of the market, but I think you are definitely going to see that happen. So, and what we're seeing in our business is people who bought here and now they're like, I just want to go back home. So they're moving back to wherever they came from. The climate didn't work out for them the way they thought. All right, so Mike, you mentioned student loans a minute ago, I think it was. So I saw this little chart, it's super boring, but I needed to put it in here. This is the value of student loan debt as of the end of Q1 of this year versus autos. We owe more for college than we do for cars. Is that not crazy?
But we still gonna go and buy a big old car.
It doesn't surprise me, put it that way. But.
It does not surprise me either. Well, and the thing is, this is probably not true in Texas, because to be fair, Texas, one thing in Dallas-Fort Worth especially is you're going to eat out and you're going to buy a new car. Those are the two things that we're really well known for. So we have more restaurants. We're not big on education. We don't care about that. That's right. We don't care about that.
Big trucks, small education.
Big trucks, small education. I like it. So, geez, I almost feel like you're trying to say something else. So I don't know where you're going with that. But I mean, so there's some compensating going on, which I totally understand. So, by the way, as a side note, I think I told Mike this earlier. She mentioned college. So my kids, we had Dad's Day for the fraternity in Arkansas this weekend. So Eric and I went up Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I went to my first frat party in 25 years. It has not changed very much. It is still bad beer, bad breath, and bad decisions all the way around. So it was an interesting weekend by far. I have not seen that many 50-year-old parents just obliterated in a very long time. But I mean, drunk. Say what?
Neither had they.
Oh, neither had they. So the kids were more sober than the parents. Let's put it that way. It was insane. I was really, really shocked. They are underage, but they don't care. That's the point of being in a fraternity. So this was Pike. So
they're pikes?
I know.
So how much of that is interest though? Like how much of it is real
Oh, I
estate
bet
versus interest?
I bet $1 gazillion is interest. I bet this number is half that when you talk about, yeah. Now, to be fair, this over here, like, all right, one of the things that we've been noticing this year is the vehicle loans for people are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger with bigger payments. We're now seeing customary $100,000 loans all the time.
On the car?
On the cars. $1,500 to $2,000 payments all day long.
On a car?
On a car. On a car.
Have you gone to buy a new car lately?
$1,700, $1,800, no big deal. No big deal. In fact, I did a pre-approval last week. It didn't go very well, but I did a pre-approval last week for a kid that he's 24 years old. He makes $4,000 a month. He has 2 cars because the Mustang, he needed it, even though he already had another one.
I do understand that.
I know you do. I figured you do. The first car payment is only $650. The Mustang is $1,250. $1,850 on car notes.
That's over half of his income.
It's half his income. He makes $4,000 a month.
So he lives at home?
Oh yeah, he lives at home
Yeah.
with his 2 cars. Is that
I have to plug in here. My husband sells cars at Honda, but if you need someone to restructure the car loan for you guys,
He'd be happy to do it.
then he can do that for you. So
That's good.
shameless plug.
I'm gonna send my
Honda
client
Fort
his
Worth.
direction.
He can do everything over the phone. You don't even have to come to the
He needs
dealership.
to get rid of a Mustang and refinance whatever. So now, wow.
Does he also like have a lot that you can go and burn?
Yeah. He usst to be at Vandergrift, Mike asked.
Yeah, he did.
He moved forward.
He was at Vandergrift.
So he was at Vandergrift. He went to Burleson. Now he's at Fort Worth. It's very good over in Fort Worth. He really
Yeah.
likes that it's a great dealership over there.
That's
So,
awesome. Good
It's a
for
great
him.
team. That's important.
Well, and in talking to my pre-approval kid last week, he said his car notes are like 21 and 18%.
Oh, and
21 and 18% interest. I'm like, wow, gross.
because his parents brought him.
Yeah, he's not buying a house, exactly. He's not buying a house, actually. He's not buying a house. That's what I said. Why are you talking to me? I don't refinance cars. Like, you got enough car notes for a house payment. So, anyway,
$68,000 gifts coming.
he does. He's not the guy with $68,000.
He told me about, he was helping a client yesterday actually, and the approvals that they were getting were like 18% with this company. So her
Yeah.
payment was going to be around $700. He kept working on it, He ended up getting her I believe it was a 4.9 interest rate from 18%.
Wow.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, he's really good at what he does.
Go see her husband. He's way better at this.
Yeah.
Again, I'm going to send my Mustang kid your direction. So,
I don't believe it was for a Civic. I don't believe
who's up for a Civic? $700 a month on a Civic.
Mike needs one.
Oh, no, Jesus. Okay, all right, let's keep going. All right, inventory and prices go hand in hand, by the way. So we're now seeing Dallas's inventories higher, and we're also seeing Dallas's prices come down a little bit, which is a good thing. So we've been telling you guys for a couple of years now, inventory is kind of the foundation for our market getting better. The more inventory we get, the stronger our foundation is, and we're starting to see that now. These places right here who have inventory increases, prices are coming down. These places that have less or have not as much in the way of inventory increases, their prices are staying high. So we need more inventory. That gets us back to an affordable standpoint. That's what we're looking for. So, and then the last couple things for you. Yes, there's a lot of pent-up demand out there. 2024 officially certified as the lowest home sales since 1995. That's actually the year I got into business, December of 94. So for my entire career, I've never seen home sales that low. In fact, only 4 million home sales right now is what we're looking at for this year. And however, normally we average 5.28. So if we go from 4 million to 5.28, guys, that's a 30% increase in home sales. And that's what we should be at. So help is coming. Yes, ma'am.
So if, I heard you say earlier that like mid-January is where we're going to find the largest dip in interest rate. So when do I need to be under contract to lock that rate in?
We usually lock when you go under contract. So to be fair, I would say you just need to go under contract sometime in January, the early to mid part of January.
Okay.
Now, to be totally clear, that's when we've seen the lowest rates of the year for the last 3 years. So we do anticipate that probably being true again. There's some technical factors on why rates drop right after we come back from the holidays. And it only lasts for a couple of weeks. And then the world gets its head back on straight and we go back up a little bit. So that's your window of opportunity. probably like second, third week of January. If it does what it's supposed to. So, all right, so we know we got a big pent-up demand hanging out there. All right, last couple of slides for you. So this is official, this little group right here, JBREC. These are like a group of 250 economists and think tanks and blah, blah, blah. They've come up with what they think is going to happen, and they see a gradual increase over the next couple of years from a home sales perspective, only up about 3% per year, but I'll take that. Cumulative, that's about, technically it's 9%, but you throw in a little bit of compounding, it's more like 10%, 11% over the next 3 years. Bottom line is at least we're moving up, not moving down. I think these numbers are too conservative, and everything else I've read says higher, to be fair. So this is the most conservative one that we've seen by far. Now, to be fair, even at that wouldn't put us back here, forget 2020, let's go back to 18, 19. So these late teens, we didn't think were awesome years, but they were still above 5 million. We think these numbers are going to get above 5 million sooner than that. So we're a little bit more aggressive than their numbers are. Builders, however, getting super nervous about what's going on right now. This is something really positive for you guys. This is the latest, I think this is the top 50 MSAs. Yeah, top 50 MSAs around the country. And this is how the builders are rating those MSAs. 63 and 9, so 72% of them say slow to very slow, which is why you're seeing huge discounts right now, right? And you'll see extra commissions and all of that stuff. About 25% say that we're normal. So
I also tell people, don't be afraid to negotiate with the builder.
yeah,
Like, offer something lower.
yeah, for sure. You know what, Mike? Actually, Mike's point was first words, what are your incentives? I think the first word should be, where's your realtor at? Because if they walk in there without you guys, they're going to get hosed, right? And I tell people that all the time because they call us and go, hey, man, I'm sorry, we're going to go new construction, yada, yada. We're going to go there this Saturday to look at everything. Okay, well, Mike's your realtor. You better make sure Mike's in tow. Otherwise, you're going to get tattooed.
So are the appraisers, when they're, let's say it's a new construction, they're pulling comps from the neighborhood, right? Let's say in theory the comps match up, or price though.
Mm-hmm.
Are the appraisers getting deep into what kind of discounts they got or incentives, you know, I mean, any of that kind of stuff?
Well, so to be fair, I don't see a whole lot of new construction appraisals on that stuff right now because they're going to the current lenders. But I will tell you prior, or when we do see ones like the other lenders have turned down, we don't see that on any of the appraisal stuff.
Okay.
So the answer is I don't think you have to worry about it.
No, that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is if it's a certain price, let's just say it's 650. Is the appraiser checking back
Yeah.
to the builder and see at that 650, did they get 30,000? You know, that.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that from the handful that we see occasionally. Okay, a couple of other good news things, by the way, guys. Credit scores just continue to improve. So this blue is 750 and above, which in mortgage is amazing and excellent and wonderful and all the things. Bless you. Green 700 to 749, still really, really good. So basically 64% of people fall under, or at least have a 700 or better credit score, which is awesome. Say what?
What are they attributing that to? Or are they?
I haven't seen anything that talks about what they are attributing it to, because on the other end of this, we see that when you grow the negative credit scores, these bad ones up here, it's because of debt on credit cards more than anything else. But what we are seeing right now is moving in a better quality direction. So I'm not really sure what that would be, to be honest with you.
Consumer spending's down and people are paying off debt because they're concerned about.
No, because all of that's actually going the wrong direction. So we're seeing huge increases in consumer spending. We're seeing more in credit card. Now, I do have a suspicion, and that, you know, we're seeing it with our clients, and I'm seeing it personally too. How many of you have gotten a notice recently from your credit card provider that they've increased your limit?
Oh, yeah.
Seeing that a lot, right? And when they say what?
And then I got hacked.
And then you got hacked? Oh, and they stole it all? So,
No, they just all sent us an email.
oh my God, wait a minute. All right, so file this under the 21-year-old dumbass category, okay? 21-year-old calls us the other night and says, I think someone's hacked into my checking account. Why? Because when I checked earlier today, I had 80 bucks in there, and now I have $3.94. So I go, pull it up. So he pulls it up, we're FaceTime, and I go, pending, $3.94. He's like, oh my God, I didn't get hacked? No, you idiot. You got hacked by you. You're the one that spent all your money. So anyway, all right. Side note. Actually, all right, hold on, wait a minute. One more best 21-year-old story I've gotten in a long time. So all in the last week or so. And by the way, my kids are actually relatively smart. So I know the story makes them sound stupid. They're good kids. They make good grades even in college. So he was home for 2 days for what they call fall break. And I was like, hey, I got this presentation I need to do, and what I want is I want to take AI and put my face on some music videos, like Michael Jackson, people like that, right? Nobody could figure it out. So my 21-year-old sits down and he's like, what are you working on? I go, I'm trying to get this done. And he goes, that's easy. I can do that in 10 minutes tops. Okay, here you go. Have fun. 7 minutes later, he's found something that nobody else could find, including the techiest people I know on the planet. And he's got me with Michael Jackson Thriller going. And I'm like, all right, that's perfect. Let me get you a couple other songs. So he's sitting there playing on the side. This is all on his iPhone. And I go, all right, here's the next song. Let's do this one. Now, in the meantime, I'm on Cardi B. He's got his buddies on. He's sending out text to everybody. So I give him the next one. He goes, oh, it says I used all my tokens. Crap. He sent like 20 of these things out to all of his buddies after paying $10 to get to this site, and now he's cut off for the day because he hit the limit. And I'm like, are you kidding me? No, now he can't do it anymore. I'm like, are you kidding me? I have no idea. He'll show.
You didn't count him in the first place, so what you got was a bonus.
He was with bonus. So I got one video out of it, which I'll have to show you guys another time. I'll pull it up if I can find it. It's on my phone. I don't know if it's on the computer though. But all right, so back to the real world. Credit score is getting better. We're happy about that. Here's the other thing. Most buyers have a very high score. In fact, almost 80% of mortgages originated in the first quarter of this year had at least a 720 credit score. So the reason I wanted you guys to see this, we have no bad borrowers out there. We have no bad vintage loans hanging out there anymore. It's all good quality stuff, which means the only reason you're going to go into short sale, foreclosure, something like that is if you have a life event come up. So, all right, now a couple of last things for you. Down payments, which I think is super interesting. This is the amount of people putting down 20+%. And obviously, as you get older, you have more money, you put down more money. What I thought was super curious about this is 20%, this is 6 to 20%. So let's call it, 67% of homeowners at the age of 26 to 34 are putting down more than 5%. That's good, right? So now, I will tell you, a lot of these guys are getting this from mommy and daddy.
Yep.
That's a lot of that money's coming from right now. So why do you care on the real estate side? Well, all those people you've put into homes over the years that they had kids pay back then and now their kids are a little older, those kids are going to go buy houses and mommy and daddy are going to put them in them. We're seeing that really come out in our business right now. So a lot of that. Okay, and then share of existing homes sold to first-time buyers still dropping. We've got most recent data just shows that since back in 2010, we've just been on a slow decline. That's an affordability issue. And
the age of that?
I don't think this one actually has ages on it. This one is just first-time buyers.
Like 33 or 34 or something.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. So the average
Average age of buyer.
is actually almost up to 40 now. Yeah, you'll be shocked.
Average kids.
Yes. In fact, if you have a second, Google that average age of a first-time buyer right now. It's going to be like 38 years old if you get the right data. It's crazy, isn't it? So now my wife's from New England and they all basically don't get married till they're like 40. They don't buy homes till they're 40. It's different parts of the country. I think here you probably see them buying earlier than you do in other parts. So, how much? 38? All right, we hit it right on the head. Isn't that crazy? 38 years old. What was who was the youngest, who was the youngest person here to buy a home? First time. 19, you win the prize. 19 years old. Isn't that crazy? Okay, let's get you some raw data here real quick and get you guys out of here. So, existing home sales out of NAR just got released last week for last month, 4.06 million. So we showed you we've been hanging out at this $4 million level or 4 million home level for a while, and we're not seeing any movement off of that. So still a lot of pent up demand. One thing that is a little bit encouraging is this is month over month. So what this means is in September of 25, we sold 4.1% more homes than September of 24. Okay, we were on this downward slide for a while, and now we've kind of slowly been trickling back up. So we are seeing like what we call green shoots in the business, meaning that we've got a little bit more activity this year than we had last year. And we're just building on top of that. And you can see it's actually climbing. Typically, we go pretty heavy into these last 3 months, which means if this trend continues, you could be on a 6 or 7 month winning streak before we start to see a number go down. But this is like saying same store sales are growing, and that's a good thing. So we're excited about that. Now, what do we look like here? Fort Worth MSA up about 4% year over year. So remember, nationally, we were up 4.1. We're up 4% on the Fort Worth side, and we're down 2.7 on the Dallas side. So Fort Worth, Tarrant County MSA basically kind of hanging steady with the rest of the country. Don't get too carried away with Dallas being down. Dallas has been better than the rest of the country for a while, but what we're starting to see is more inventory over there, so it's starting to sit. So we'll talk about that here in a second. One thing that's interesting is look at this little leg up. I always end it as close to the end of the month as I can, but we've got a little bit of a leg up in October. We're going to watch that because if that thing keeps going, it could be higher than the last 3 years. So that would see a little bit more, I would say, show us a little bit more of the market coming back. I'm not seeing that in my business yet, so I'm not going to tell you that's exactly what's happening, but it's possible. Yes, ma'am.
Back to, sorry, the existing home sales increased slightly and stuff.
Yep.
Last year was an election year.
You wear it down.
And September, you know, so like August, September, like all of this, we're feeling the, we're waiting still
Yes.
after this.
Yeah.
So I just wonder, like,
Yeah,
are
back
we
here.
really up 4.1%, or was it because it was an election year and everybody was holding on?
No, I think that's a fair point. I think that's a very fair point because we do see historically the last couple of months before the election slows down.
Yeah.
And I think we saw that last year. And then that's part of why you had a bit of an explosion in November, December. So yeah, that could be it for sure.
Just wondering.
No, I think it's a very valid point. You might be exactly right. The pending home sales, we're not going to worry about this because NAR hasn't released it yet. This is last month. We think September is going to be up 1%. The only thing I thought was interesting about the last month one is, except for the Northeast, which tends to slow down once the kids go back to school because winter's coming, we're kind of the lowest in the country. This little section right here was the hotbed of everything, and now it's kind of the cold space too. So we'll see what happens there. New England's been on fire. They're still way, even though their pending home sales may be down for that 1 month, they're way above last year's trends. That is still the hot spot. And a lot of it's just because from an existing home sale standpoint, they don't have space to build new ones. So existing home sales kind of rule the world up there, whereas in our space, new home sales rule the world. So, all right, pending home sales, though we think about 0.4 for the entire country. We have real data for Fort Worth and Tarrant County or Dallas. Fort Worth down almost 7%. That's not a good sign. That's probably why we're kind of thinking October is not all that great. And Dallas was about flat, off about 1%. So not seeing anything really promising in the pending space, but to be fair, we probably won't through the fourth quarter because it's kind of a slower time of year. Last couple things for you here real quick on this section. So first-time buyers still only about 26%. We showed you guys earlier that number should be quite a bit higher. Investors also kind of a little bit depressed right now as far as last month, only 15%. They average 18 to 26. So we're seeing some of the major components of the market kind of dip out a little bit right this second. Mostly we just think that's probably affordability. Cash sales are staying crazy high. 30% of all sales still going cash. And actually, I would tell you that's really slanted towards the upper end. Upper end market's probably like 50+% going cash. It's amazing how many people are sitting on cash right now. All right, median days on market, 57 for Fort Worth. We're way higher than we have been the last 3 years. The Dallas County side is 66. So Dallas County and their MSAs are a little slower than we are right now. But remember, they're 2/3 of the business. So
Is that closed or under contract?
this is actually just sitting on the market still. So this is just, to get it closed. No, this is to get it under contract. Sorry, not even closed.
Because I track Tarrant County and a pretty,
Yeah.
I said Little Bit Johnson Park, et cetera. And
Yeah.
I log on that algorithm every day, right?
What's it say right now?
It's, because Mike Serpent and I talk about, you can go on in a given day.
Mm-hmm.
Like yesterday was 68 with a group that went under contract. Today it was 77. And we're seeing anywhere from upper 70s to 90. And I'm talking with the
Wow.
last few weeks.
So it's well, and I cut this off at the end of September, so that makes sense to me because at the end of September you're at 66. We think it's slower now, and what you're saying confirms that. And this is Tarrant plus all the counties that touch Tarrant. So this is the whole MSA.
Just went under contract is what I'm looking
Yeah.
at to get a feel.
That's interesting. So I'll be really curious to see what next month's numbers look like when we pull it. But man, if you're getting up to high 70s and even up to 90, that's a big number.
Yeah, and obviously that number range and shifts every day.
Did you put my face on a video? Is that what happened over there? Okay, just checking.
Whose face?
Whose face that was? Uh-oh, somebody hacked one of those phones. All right, home prices, by the way, guys, still moderating. Not really moving quite as fast, but I want you to look at this trend line. This is just seasonal, so don't worry about the ups and downs every year. But it's still upwardly trending, right? So all those buyers who are sitting around going, well, prices are going to come back because the market's slow and all that, history says it's not going to come back. History says it might flatten, which is what it's doing, but it probably doesn't come backwards. So now, when you look at it for a month-over-month gains, or actually technically year-over-year, we kind of peaked back here in December of last year, which we talked about, I think, probably due to the election. You had some people put some stuff on hold. But since then, we've been slowly dropping down, except for the last 2 months. So we've kind of found some footing here. So back here, we said, well, we'll see what happens the next month. Well, we didn't go down the next month. We went back up. Not a lot, but at 2%, we think the market's probably hit its bottom for right now unless something weird happens. So that's kind of what we're expecting on home prices. Now, you look at Dallas-Fort Worth, the Fort Worth Tarrant County side was up 2%. That's the total country across the board, 2%. We'll show you the Dallas-Fort Worth one here in just a minute. Before we get to that, one thing I want to show you is we're still seeing the upper price points moving a lot faster with higher price. In fact, 20% change in sales price over the last year for $1 million plus sales prices. So for me to get those two appraisals in short above $1 million is kind of odd. That's why I'm curious to see what's going on there. As you get down here in these lower price points, you're definitely seeing lower price appreciation. Now let's talk Tarrant County. So Tarrant County up 1%. So roughly the same as the rest of the country. Country's up 2, we're up 1. Dallas County basically flat. So no real change there on that side of things. Now, Texas has a history of going flat and staying flat to correct itself. If it does that, that's good for you and I. That's kind of what we're looking for, is for Texas to stay flat for the next couple of years. Inventory continues to climb. Now, we did see a little bit of a bubble right here where it's just kind of stopped, but we're still higher than we have been since the beginning of 21. So this is a 5-year plus high in inventory, and that's good news. I don't know if it's quality, but at least it's there. We've got the quantity. And when you look at active listings across the country, they're up about 9.5%. DFW, Fort Worth side up almost 4, and the Dallas side up 15. So Dallas is way leading Fort Worth. We're not seeing nearly as much inventory increase on the Tarrant County side. But Dallas over here, what is interesting is, yeah, that number sounds like a big one, but these numbers up here were 30 and 35% increases. So it is slowing down a little bit on the inventory side. And in fact, when you look at new listings for the month, the Tarrant County MSA was off almost 5%. That's the first negative number we've had there in a while. And Dallas was off 4%. So this is the number that tells us what's coming online for inventory. And it's been all really, in fact, Dallas has been heavily positive. Tarrant County has been mostly positive all year. And now we're seeing both of them be negative. So that does tell us that there's fewer people listing right this moment. All right, weeks of supply up to 22 on the Tarrant County side and 27 on the Dallas side. So if you say buyer's market is 4 to 6 months, we're well into that on both sides. In fact, technically Dallas is over the 6-month mark. So we're definitely seeing that. I would tell you there's still pockets where it's not a buyer's market, but for the most part right now, the buyers are in control. At least they should be at this point. All right, and then age of inventory. These are deals that are under contract but not closed yet. So almost 71 in the Tarrant County side, and then about 74 on the Dallas County side. Now remember, I like what Mike said because he's got real-time data. This ended on end of September because that's the month we're looking at. So it seems like those numbers are creeping up fast in the month of October. So I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on sellers also, if you get to 90 plus days. All right, let's wrap up on interest rates real quick. So officially on Friday, the 30-year fix was sitting at 6.19, roughly the same yesterday. I didn't really see much in the way of market movement. The good news is you see this little topper we put in here, and we think that we're probably headed down. But, well, actually, I'm going to show you a prediction. I'm going to show you one other quick thing that I think is way more important. So here's where everybody thinks we're going as far as Fannie, MBA, and Wells Fargo. And you can see even through the end of next year, they're all saying high 5s, low 6s. I think this is too high. And I think it's too high for a couple of reasons. So let me share that with you here real quick. This is back to that group of people that I said is like 250 economists. This is what they think rates are going to do for the next 3 years. Now, this is full year average for the year. So this would be the 6.6 is the full 2025 average. It's not what they think they're going to end at. So we had rates earlier this year in the low 7s. We've had rates now with upper 5s, low 6s. The average for the year is 6.6. They think 6, 6.1, and 6.3. Those don't get super exciting, but here's what I want to point out to you. Remember, this is the 10-year Treasury, and this is the spread we talk about. This spread that we talk about, normally it holds at about 1.7, 1.8. It's been as high as 3.25, and they think it comes down to 1.9. That's where I think the bottom is on this new spread. I don't think the real world is 1.75 anymore, 1.8. I think it's going to be about 1.9 because they're just not going to bring it all the way down. So this on top of the 10-year Treasury. Well, the 10-year Treasury last week went under 4 for the first time in a very long time. That's a very important distinction for us because under 4, if it gets any, if it consolidates under 4 where it kind of hangs out there for a week or two, in theory, you would see it continue to drop down. And remember, as this thing comes down, it's dollar for dollar reduction in interest rates. What is it today? 3.984, even better, because when I put this together yesterday, it was back to 4.02. So as long as we keep hanging out at this 4.02, our official spread right now is 2.17. So if that spread were to hit 190, rates would come down another quarter from where they are today, right? That's a really good thing. And if this 402, 398 today keeps trucking into the threes, I think the next level of support's down around 390-ish and then down into the high 370s. So all of a sudden, that's another dollar for dollar drop in rates. This is what you could see drive rates down into the upper fives at the end of the year, beginning of January. So this is what's going to influence this more than anything else. This spread's continued to come down. It was 221 last month. The month before was like 230. The month before was like high 240s. So we just keep coming down a little bit. And that spread, basically think of it as the risk in the market. That's what Wall Street wants for the risk. And the risk is starting to come out of the market because the Fed's now dropping interest rates. So when we say the Fed doesn't impact us directly, it does, however, influence us. It's this thing and this thing that it influences, and both are moving in the right direction. Plus the people think it is too. That's right. It's actually more perception than anything else, right? Yep. So right now the perception is we're getting better and better. So by the way, 6.19, but the two I've locked this week were 5.99s. So if this continues to slide down and you start to see a real 5 up here, I'm going to be locking in the 5.75 range. We're going to be busy. We're going to be busy. So, all right. And then we got some limited buyer demand. We won't end on that right now. We already talked about that. All right. What questions can I answer for you guys out of all that? So it's not bad news, right? I mean, it's not going to be great for the next couple of months. It's the holidays, so enjoy it. Take some time off. Come to our party in January. But I think when you come back for January, it's going to be busy. They really do. So, and if you think about it, how many of you have had the seller, or I'm sorry, the buyer in the last couple of months call you and go, hey, I'm ready to buy because of blah, 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 and I don't care about rates anymore. Like they just are what they are. Right. That's the story we've been hearing since the beginning of summer. So if that continues and then you see rates in the 5s, there's going to be even more people who go, I don't care, that's a fine rate, I'll take it. Yep. So that's what I'm excited
I
about.
agree with what you're saying. I think they're anchored against what's going on in Washington and all that.
Yes.
Separate.
100%. There's a lot of conversation right now about once this whole stalemate ends in Washington, you might see a bunch of additional buyers come out as well. There's guys on the ancillary parts of the economy that you don't realize are related to the government. Like so one guy I was talking to, he was going to get a second job because he wasn't making enough at his first job and he wanted to buy a new home, so he was going to take on the second job. He got a job at AutoZone, I think, in their warehouse at night. And the day he was supposed to start was the day after the government shutdown started. And they told him he couldn't start because they couldn't process some government paperwork. And because part of the auto stuff they were moving was government-based contracts that were on hold. I was like, that's AutoZone. I would have never thought that this thing would affect AutoZone. Right. So there's people all across the world that are having issues. Yes, ma'am?
There's also all these companies that are shutting down, like Carter's. They announced Carter's, their baby clothing, like I go shopping or something. They're closing because of tariffs.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, permanently closing because of tariffs.
Because everything they bring in is from someplace else.
That's right.
Did y'all see the commercial they ran during the World Series with Reagan?
I heard about it.
I heard it. It was a Reagan commercial. So I heard about it and I didn't realize it. And the other night we were watching the World Series. I was like, oh, there it is. So we stopped and listened to it. So it's a speech from Reagan talking about tariffs. And he's outlining all the things about why we're not going to do tariffs anymore and how bad they are.
No.
I don't know. That's a really good question. We're going to find it. No. Well, I can tell you this. The bulk of the speech is not cut and pasted. But could there be parts of it that they emphasized? Yes. Yes. But the speech itself was about how bad tariffs are. The only part that I've read on it so far was, hey, the majority of this is true, whether some of it's not completely accurate. So anyway, that made Trump really upset. So in fact, that's the day he announced he was cutting off all negotiations with Canada because the Canadians ran it. So I think it was too.
Now he's investigating the MLB
Now he's investigating MLB? Why?
because there's some kind of corruption or whatever, and he tweeted about it.
Oh. It's all good.
So what normally does cause the 10-year treasury yield to go down? If we're at 4.2, you said 3.84.
3.98.
Or
So
what are those factors?
it's just what bond buyers in the market, it's what they're wanting to get for a yield in the marketplace. So and the thing that's a little bit of a risk for us right now is that if tariffs do send us the wrong direction, then the bond buyers may want more of a premium for what they're getting, and they have to take that 4.02 up. So that could actually drive us the wrong direction. We haven't seen it yet, so we're not going to worry about it just yet, but that's something that's kind of hanging out there. But for right now, that is interest rates across the country. So think of it this way: how much do I need to pay? How much do I need to get paid to buy your debt? And the answer is I need to get paid enough of a premium to circumvent me doing something safer over here for less of a premium. So if this over here safe is 2%, I want to make 2.5% above that. That's what's going to drive my bond prices up and down. As this comes down, like total interest rates for savings accounts come down, well, now my premium amount is still 2.5%. So that means the bond yields can come down too. Now that's a very simplistic way of putting it, but that's kind of the easiest concept is what do they want to get paid for their money? And right now they want to get paid that kind of money to put their money with us. So now the question is, are they going to keep it that way or are they going to drop it?
So if those go down, then the value of it goes down, and that's when the bond goes
So
down.
bond prices and yields technically move in inverse. So that means that the price for the yield to come down, the price of the bond would go up.